a dog washed ashore, barely alive, his body grotesquely covered in sharp, crusty barnacles. He looked like a creature out of a nightmare, abandoned and defeated. Everyone thought there was no hope until Keanu Reeves appeared. What began as a quiet morning jog spiraled into a life-or-death battle that captured the world's attention, proving that heroes don't just exist in the movies. It was a foggy morning at Newport Beach when the haunting whimper of a dying Doberman stopped joggers in their tracks. His sleek black coat, once a mark of pride, was hidden beneath colonies of barnacles that dug deep into his raw, inflamed skin. Each painful step he took was a testament to his will to survive. As bystanders gasped and filmed the shocking sight, one man acted. Keanu Reeves, Hollywood's quiet hero, knelt beside the suffering dog and made a choice that would change both of their lives forever. What followed was a heart-pounding journey filled with impossible odds, groundbreaking science, and a bond so powerful it would inspire millions. This is the story of Atlas, the barnacle-covered dog who defied death with the help of an unexpected guardian angel. The sultry morning air clung to the fog rolling over Newport Beach, muffling the sound of waves lapping against the shore. Joggers moved in a steady rhythm along the sand, lost in their routines, until a sharp, pitiful whimper pierced the quiet. People stopped, glancing around, searching for the source of the heartbreaking sound. Then, through the mist, a dark silhouette emerged, staggering on shaky legs. It was a Doberman, or at least it had once been. The dog's sleek coat was buried beneath clusters of grotesque barnacles clinging to his body like a living prison. His ribs jutted out, his head hung low, and his once proud tail drooped under the weight of countless crustaceans. The crowd, frozen in shock, whispered in disbelief. Some raised their phones to capture the moment, while others turned away, unable to face the disturbing sight. Keanu Reeves had just finished his morning jog and was cooling off near the boardwalk when he noticed the commotion. Curious, he approached the gathering crowd, his brow furrowing as he caught sight of the creature struggling in the sand. The sight stopped him cold. "Jesus," he muttered under his breath, his heart sinking. As he stepped closer, the Doberman turned his head slightly, his eyes meeting Keanu's. In that moment, something unspoken passed between them, a quiet plea for help. Despite the layers of barnacles and the obvious agony the dog was in, there was still a flicker of life in those amber eyes, a stubborn refusal to give up. Keanu didn't hesitate. "Someone call a vet!" he shouted, his deep voice cutting through the murmur of the onlookers. He knelt in the damp sand, reaching out carefully. The dog whimpered but didn't flinch, as if he could sense Keanu meant no harm. A woman in the crowd stepped forward, introducing herself as Dr. Emily Chen, a marine biologist. "Those are gooseneck barnacles," she said, her voice tinged with both wonder and concern. "They don't normally attach to land animals. This is unprecedented." "Unprecedented or not," Keanu replied, his jaw tightening, "we need to help him now." Together, they worked quickly. Dr. Chen examined the dog as best as she could, noting the deep wounds where the barnacles had embedded themselves into his flesh. Keanu cradled the dog's head gently, murmuring soothing words while someone brought a blanket to wrap around him. "This isn't going to be easy," Dr. Chen warned. "He's weak, dehydrated, and probably infected. Removing these barnacles is going to take time and precision." Keanu nodded. "Time we don't have," he said, glancing at the dog's trembling legs and labored breathing. "Whatever it takes, let's save him." As the group prepared to transport the dog, whom Keanu would later name Atlas, to the nearest veterinary clinic, news of the strange discovery spread like wildfire. Social media posts began to flood in, tagging Keanu Reeves as the unexpected savior of the mysterious barnacle dog. Within hours, news crews were already on their way to Newport Beach, and what had started as a quiet morning quickly turned into the beginning of a story the world would never forget. The veterinary clinic was a flurry of motion as Keanu and Dr. Emily Chen arrived with Atlas, the barnacle-covered Doberman who had captured the hearts of everyone who had seen him. His condition was worse than they feared. The barnacles weren't just attached to his fur, they had burrowed into his raw, inflamed skin, creating deep wounds that were now oozing with infection. Every breath he took was labored, and his once bright eyes now seemed clouded with exhaustion. Keanu stood by Atlas' side, his hand resting gently on the dog's head as Dr. Chen worked swiftly to stabilize him. "He's a fighter," she said, glancing at Keanu, "but we're going to need more than luck to pull him through this." The first step was rehydrating Atlas and managing his pain. Dr. Chen and the veterinary team carefully inserted an 4-line, administering fluids and antibiotics. Keanu stayed by his side the entire time, whispering words of encouragement as Atlas trembled under the bright clinic lights. Despite his suffering, the dog occasionally lifted his head, showing a resilience that inspired everyone in the room. To nuzzle Keanu's hand was a quiet but powerful gesture of trust that melted the hearts of everyone in the room. The real challenge, however, was removing the barnacles. Dr. Chen called in reinforcements, a marine biologist friend and a veterinary dermatologist, to brainstorm solutions. Traditional removal methods were too risky. The barnacles were embedded so deeply that one wrong move could tear Atlas' fragile skin, causing even more damage. Hours turned into an all-night brainstorming session with Keanu pacing the clinic, refusing to leave until they found a solution. As the team worked, word of Atlas' plight spread across social media like wildfire. Pictures of the barnacle-covered dog and Keanu Reeves kneeling beside him flooded platforms, accompanied by captions like, "Hollywood's hero steps up for a forgotten soul." Donations poured in from all over the world, and messages of support filled the clinic's inbox. People wanted to help in any way they could. Before I share how Keanu and Dr. Chen defied the odds in their fight to save Atlas, I want to take a moment to connect with you, my amazing viewers. Where are you watching from? Drop your country's flag in the comments below. And if you've ever had an unspoken bond with an animal, hit that like button, because Atlas's story is one of courage, compassion, and miracles. Finally, a breakthrough came. A specialist named Dr. Marcus Rivera, an expert in marine parasitology, reached out after seeing Atlas's story online. He proposed an experimental solution, a non-toxic chemical formula designed to mimic the signals barnacles used to detach from surfaces during natural seasonal changes. It was a risky procedure, never tested on a living dog, but it was the best chance Atlas had. The next day, Dr. Rivera arrived with his equipment. Keanu helped lift Atlas onto the treatment table, his steady presence calming the anxious dog. The first application of the formula was done on a small patch of barnacles, and the results were miraculous. Within hours, the crustaceans began to loosen their grip, falling away without damaging the delicate skin beneath. Over the next several days, the team worked tirelessly, carefully applying the formula to each cluster of barnacles. Keanu, true to his word, never left Atlas's side. The Doberman's transformation was slow but undeniable. With every barnacle removed, his sleek black coat began to re-emerge, a visual testament to the power of compassion and perseverance. Atlas's journey was far from over, but the worst was behind him. His spirit, though tested, remained unbroken. And as his strength returned, so did the spark in his eyes. As Atlas slowly began to heal, the clinic transformed into a hub of activity. Specialists came and went, journalists hovered outside, and donations poured in from around the world. But amidst the chaos, Keanu Reeves remained a quiet constant by Atlas's side. He spent hours sitting on the floor of the recovery room, gently stroking the dog's head as the Doberman drifted in and out of restless sleep. To the world, Keanu was a superstar, but to Atlas, he was just a kind voice, a steady presence, and a protector. One evening, as the clinic quieted down and the hum of machines filled the air, Dr. Chen approached Keanu. She handed him a steaming cup of coffee and took a seat on the floor beside him, her gaze fixed on Atlas. "You've been here every single day," she said softly. "You've done more than anyone could have asked for." Keanu gave her a small, tired smile. "I guess I see a bit of myself in him," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Atlas has been through hell, but he's still fighting. That kind of resilience, it's hard not to admire." Dr. Chen studied him for a moment, sensing there was more to the story. "You mean it's more than just admiration," she said gently. "There's something personal here, isn't there?" Keanu hesitated, then let out a deep sigh. "I had a dog once," he began, his voice tinged with quiet sadness. "A Doberman, just like him. His name was Maximum. He was my best friend, always there during some of the toughest times in my life. But one day I lost him. It was sudden, and I never got the chance to say goodbye. He paused, his gaze softening as he looked at Atlas. When I saw him on that beach, struggling but still holding on, I thought about Maximum. I couldn't save him, but maybe I can save Atlas. Dr. Chen felt her throat tighten but managed a reassuring smile. And you're doing that, Keanu. Every step of the way, you're giving him a chance. The room fell into a comfortable silence as they both watched Atlas stir slightly in his sleep, his tail giving a weak wag. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes. As the days turned into weeks, Atlas continued to improve, and so did the bond between him and Keanu. The actor, known for his iconic roles on screen, now found himself in a role far more personal, a caretaker and a friend. And in Atlas, Keanu saw more than just a dog. He saw a survivor, a reflection of his own journey through life's hardships, and a testament to the unyielding power of hope. Loss and the relentless pursuit of hope, the transformation wasn't just physical, it was emotional. Keanu found himself opening up to Dr. Chen and the veterinary staff, sharing stories about Max and the moments of joy and comfort his dog had brought into his life. In turn, Atlas seemed to respond to Keanu in ways that amazed everyone. His once wary eyes now sparkled with trust, and he followed Keanu's every movement as if the man who saved him had become his guiding light. This connection was more than chance, it was as though the universe had conspired to bring them together, two souls who had suffered and survived, now finding healing in each other. For Atlas, it was a second chance at life. For Keanu, it was a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable pain, there is always room for love and redemption. As Atlas's story continued to unfold, it became clear to everyone involved that this was about more than saving a dog. It was about the resilience of the spirit, the power of compassion, and the profound impact of the bond between humans and animals. Through it all, Keanu and Atlas stood as living proof that even the deepest wounds could heal given enough time, care, and love. The next phase of Atlas's journey was nothing short of a race against time. While the innovative solution from Dr. Rivera had shown promising results in loosening the barnacles from Atlas's body, the process was far from over. The damage caused by months of parasitic invasion had left Atlas not only physically but also emotionally scarred. Every day brought new challenges, but it also brought new glimpses of hope as the power of science and compassion worked hand in hand to save him. Dr. Rivera, now working alongside Dr. Chen and a team of marine biologists and veterinary experts, meticulously applied his formula to Atlas's remaining barnacles. Each treatment session was a careful balancing act, requiring precision to ensure the formula reached the barnacle roots without causing harm to the already fragile layers of Atlas's skin. Keanu, ever the steady presence, remained by Atlas's side, his calm demeanor and soothing words providing a sense of security to the once frightened dog. Atlas's transformation was slow but miraculous. Patches of his sleek black coat began to re-emerge, and the deep wounds caused by the barnacles started to heal, revealing not just the physical dog beneath but also the spirit that had refused to give up. Yet, the process was not without setbacks. On several occasions, Atlas's body reacted to the treatment with fevers and inflammation, forcing the team to halt and reassess their approach. Each obstacle was met with determination, the collective expertise of the team pushing forward despite the odds. As the days turned into weeks, the connection between science and humanity became the cornerstone of Atlas's recovery. Dr. Rivera's groundbreaking formula was not only loosening the barnacles but also promoting healing in the underlying tissues. The team discovered that the same chemical signals used to detach the barnacles were stimulating cell regeneration, a phenomenon that left even the most seasoned scientists in awe. This accidental discovery sparked discussions about potential applications for humans and animals alike, highlighting how Atlas's case could pave the way for medical breakthroughs far beyond this single dog. Meanwhile, the world continued to watch. Atlas's story had become a global sensation, capturing the hearts of millions. Social media was flooded with updates on his progress, each new photo or video of his recovery sparking waves of support and encouragement. Donations to the clinic poured in, not only covering Atlas's medical expenses but also funding further research into marine biology and veterinary medicine. Atlas was no longer just a dog, he had become a symbol of resilience and the incredible things that could be achieved when compassion and innovation came together. Keanu, humbled by the overwhelming response, used his platform to amplify the story further. He appeared in interviews, not to promote a movie, but to talk about Atlas, the importance of animal welfare, and the lessons he had learned throughout this journey. Atlas has taught me more about strength and survival than any role I've ever played, he said during one heartfelt segment. He's not just a dog, he's a reminder that even in our darkest moments, there's a light worth fighting for. The turning point in Atlas's recovery came during a pivotal treatment session. For weeks, the largest and most deeply embedded barnacles on his back and legs had resisted all attempts at removal. These clusters were causing the most pain and restricting Atlas's movements, but they were also the most dangerous to treat. Dr. Rivera proposed a bold plan, combining his chemical solution with a cutting-edge laser technique that could precisely target the barnacle base. It was a delicate operation that had never been attempted before, but it was Atlas's best shot. The room buzzed with nervous energy as the team prepared for the procedure. Atlas, sedated but aware, lay quietly on the table, his breathing steady. Keanu stood nearby, his hands clasped together, silently willing the operation to succeed. The team worked with the precision of surgeons, each movement calculated and deliberate. The laser hummed softly as it made contact with the barnacle clusters, guided by the steady hands of Dr. Rivera and Dr. Chen. Slowly, the barnacles began to release their once unyielding grip, weakening under the dual assault of science and care. When the final barnacle fell, revealing a patch of raw, unbroken skin, a collective sigh of relief swept through the room. Keanu stepped forward, his voice thick with emotion. "You did it," he whispered, his hand resting gently on Atlas's head. The dog stirred slightly, his tail giving a weak wag as if to acknowledge the victory. The days following the procedure marked a dramatic shift in Atlas's recovery. With the barnacles gone, his body began to heal more rapidly. His spirit, already resilient, seemed to soar. Atlas had not only survived, but was now thriving, a testament to the extraordinary power of compassion, science, and unwavering determination. To heal at an accelerated pace, his energy returned in bursts, and for the first time in months, he stood on his own, his legs shaky but determined. The sight brought tears to the eyes of everyone who had been part of his journey. It was a moment of triumph, not just for Atlas but for the team who had poured their hearts into saving him. Beyond the physical recovery, Atlas began to reclaim his spirit. He became more alert, more curious, and even playful. Keanu often brought toys to the clinic, and watching Atlas tentatively bat a ball or wag his tail at a kind word became a source of joy for everyone involved. The bond between Keanu and Atlas deepened with each passing day, their connection evident in every interaction. But the story didn't end there. Dr. Rivera's innovative treatment, initially developed for Atlas, quickly gained attention from the scientific community. The formula was adapted for use in wildlife rehabilitation centers around the world, helping sea turtles, seals, and other marine animals suffering from parasitic barnacle infestations. Atlas's case had not only saved his life but opened doors to a new era of interdisciplinary collaboration between marine biology and veterinary medicine. Keanu and Atlas's journey also inspired countless individuals to take action. Animal shelters and rescue organizations reported a surge in adoptions, spurred by the overwhelming response to Atlas's story. People who had once felt powerless in the face of adversity found hope in the Doberman's resilience, a reminder that even the most impossible challenges could be overcome with courage and support. 1 year after Atlas was first found on Newport Beach, a special ceremony was held to honor his recovery and the incredible efforts that had saved him. Keanu, standing beside a now healthy and vibrant Atlas, addressed the crowd. "This isn't just Atlas's story," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "It's our story. It's about what we can achieve when we come together, when we believe in second chances, and when we choose kindness over indifference." As the crowd erupted into applause, Atlas barked, a clear, strong sound that echoed across the beach. It was a sound of life, of triumph, and of hope. Keanu knelt beside him, his hand resting on the dog's sleek back, and smiled. "We did it, buddy," he murmured. "We really did it." Atlas's story became more than just a viral sensation. It became a testament to the power of compassion, science, and the unbreakable bond between humans and animals. It reminded the world that even in the face of despair, miracles are possible. Sometimes, all it takes is one person willing to make a difference. As the sun rose over Newport Beach, Atlas took his first unassisted steps on the sand. His sleek black coat glistened in the morning light, free of the barnacles that had once imprisoned him. The crowd that had gathered to witness this moment fell silent, their eyes fixed on the Doberman who had become a symbol of resilience. Keanu walked beside him, a quiet smile on his face, as he watched Atlas's tail wag with newfound energy. The transformation was nothing short of miraculous. Atlas, once a living canvas of pain and despair, now moved with a confidence that seemed almost defiant. The world had watched his journey, from the moment he was pulled from the brink of death to the triumphant steps he now took on the very beach where he had been found. Every stride was a testament to the collective effort of science, compassion, and unwavering determination. News of Atlas's recovery spread far and wide, sparking a wave of inspiration across social media. His story, told through videos and heartfelt posts, became a beacon of hope for people facing their own battles. "If Atlas can survive that, I can survive this," one commenter wrote, summing up the collective sentiment of millions. His journey was no longer just about saving a dog, it was about proving that miracles were possible when people came together for a common cause. Keanu, though known for his humility, couldn't escape the spotlight that Atlas's story had brought. Instead of shying away, he embraced it, using his platform to advocate for animal rescue and rehabilitation. In interviews, he spoke candidly about the bond he shared with Atlas and the lessons he had learned. "Atlas isn't just a survivor," he said during one segment. "He's a teacher. He's shown me, and so many others, that no matter how heavy the burden, there's always a way forward." The ripple effect of Atlas's journey extended beyond the online world. Shelters reported record numbers of adoptions inspired by the Doberman story. Donations poured into rescue organizations, allowing them to expand their efforts and save countless other animals in need. Atlas had become a catalyst for change, his resilience igniting a global movement of kindness and action. As Atlas's physical wounds healed, his emotional scars also began to fade. With Keanu by his side, he ventured into a new chapter of his life as an ambassador for hope and recovery. Together, they visited schools, shelters, and community events, sharing Atlas's story and the powerful lessons it carried. Children, their eyes wide with wonder, lined up to meet the famous dog who had defied the odds. Atlas greeted them with a wagging tail and a gentle demeanor, his presence leaving a lasting impact on everyone. He met one particularly moving moment during a visit to a children's hospital. A young girl named Lily, battling a serious illness, was introduced to Atlas. At first, she was hesitant, her small frame frail against the weight of her condition. But as Atlas approached her, his head lowered in gentle submission. She reached out a trembling hand to touch his fur. Her face lit up with a smile, and for a moment, the room seemed to hold its breath. "If Atlas can get better, maybe I can too," she whispered to her mother, tears streaming down her face. Stories like Lily's were repeated time and again as Atlas continued to inspire people from all walks of life. His visits became more than just appearances, they were moments of connection where the lines between human and animal blurred, and hope took center stage. Keanu often described Atlas as a healer, a role the dog seemed to embrace wholeheartedly. Meanwhile, the scientific community celebrated the breakthroughs that had come from Atlas's treatment. Dr. Rivera's innovative formula was now being used in marine rehabilitation centers worldwide, saving countless sea turtles, seals, and other marine animals suffering from parasitic infestations. Atlas's case had not only rewritten veterinary protocols but also fostered unprecedented collaboration between marine biologists and veterinarians. In recognition of these advancements, Dr. Rivera named the treatment protocol after Atlas, ensuring that his legacy would endure in the annals of science. The Atlas Protocol, as it was called, symbolized more than just a medical achievement. It represented the power of compassion and ingenuity to overcome even the most insurmountable challenges. Back in Newport Beach, life for Atlas and Keanu settled into a new rhythm. Their daily walks along the shore became a familiar sight to locals, who often stopped to greet them. Atlas, now strong and vibrant, bounded through the waves with a joy that was infectious. For Keanu, these moments were a reminder of the journey they had shared and the bond that had carried them through it all. On the anniversary of Atlas's rescue, a special event was held on the beach where it all began. People from around the world gathered to celebrate his recovery and the impact his story had made. Keanu, standing beside Atlas, addressed the crowd with heartfelt sincerity. "This isn't just Atlas's story," he said. "It's our story. It's about what we can achieve when we choose to care, when we choose to act, and when we choose to believe." As the crowd erupted into applause, Atlas barked, a strong, clear sound that echoed across the waves. It was a sound of triumph, resilience, and hope. Keanu knelt beside him, his hand resting on the dog's back, and smiled. "We did it, buddy," he whispered. "We really did." In the months and years that followed, Atlas's story continued to inspire. From children's books to documentaries, his journey was immortalized in countless ways, each one carrying the same message, that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, the human spirit and the bond we share with the animals who rely on us can prevail. Through it all, Atlas and Keanu remained inseparable, their story a living testament to the miracles that can happen when love and determination come together. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky over Newport Beach in hues of orange and gold, Atlas sprinted across the sand, his sleek black coat glistening in the fading light. Each step was full of life, every leap into the air was a testament to his incredible journey. Watching from the shoreline, Keanu Reeves smiled as Atlas turned to look back at him, his tail wagging in a playful invitation to join him. It was hard to believe that just a year ago, this same beach had been the scene of Atlas's near-death discovery. Now, the dog who once staggered under the weight of barnacles moved with grace and joy, his transformation a living symbol of hope. Around them, a small crowd of friends, supporters, and curious onlookers had gathered to celebrate the anniversary of Atlas's rescue, a moment to reflect on what had been achieved and what lay ahead. Keanu stepped forward, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Atlas's story isn't just about a dog who survived against all odds," he began. "It's about what happens when we choose compassion, when we come together to fight for something bigger than ourselves. Atlas taught me, and so many others, that even in the darkest moments, there's light." The crowd erupted in applause, their faces glowing with inspiration. Among them were children holding hand-drawn pictures of Atlas, marine biologists who had contributed to his groundbreaking treatment, and families who had adopted rescue animals after hearing his story. Each person in the crowd had been touched by Atlas in some way, their lives enriched by his resilience and the message he represented. Dr. Emily Chen, standing beside Keanu, added her own thoughts. "Atlas didn't just survive, he thrived. His case has changed the way we think about animal care, about science, and about the power of collective action. Every time I see him run, I'm reminded of what's possible when we refuse to give up." The event wasn't just a celebration, it was also a launch. Inspired by Atlas, Keanu and Dr. Chen announced the creation of the Atlas Foundation, a global initiative dedicated to rescuing and rehabilitating animals in need, advancing veterinary science, and educating communities about the importance of empathy toward all living beings. The foundation's slogan, "Every life deserves a second chance," reflected the very heart of Atlas's story. As the evening unfolded, a video montage played on a large screen, capturing the pivotal moments of Atlas's journey. The images of his initial condition, weak, covered in barnacles, and barely alive, contrasted sharply with his current state, vibrant, healthy, and full of life. The montage ended with Atlas sprinting across the beach, his transformation complete, a beacon of hope for all who watched. And full of energy, the audience watched in awe, many wiping away tears as the transformation unfolded before their eyes. One particularly moving moment came when Atlas approached a young boy in the crowd, gently nudging the child's hand with his nose. The boy, who had been timidly hiding behind his mother, broke into a wide smile and knelt to hug Atlas. The crowd murmured in delight, a poignant reminder of the connections Atlas continued to foster, even with strangers. The legacy of Atlas extended far beyond Newport Beach. Across the globe, shelters, clinics, and marine rescue organizations had adopted variations of the Atlas Protocol, saving countless animals from suffering similar fates. Wildlife experts credited the case with advancing their understanding of how parasitic infestations affected marine and land animals, leading to more effective treatments and prevention methods. Even Hollywood had embraced the story. A documentary chronicling Atlas's journey was already in production, with proceeds pledged to the Atlas Foundation. The project had attracted some of the industry's top talent, eager to share the story with the world. Keanu, though reluctant to take the spotlight, agreed to narrate the film, ensuring the focus remained on Atlas and the incredible team who had saved him. As the celebration wound down, Keanu and Atlas took one last walk along the beach, the sounds of laughter and waves filling the air. The sky above was dotted with stars, a fitting backdrop for the quiet moment they shared. Keanu knelt down beside Atlas, running a hand through the dog's sleek fur. "You've come a long way, buddy," he said softly, his voice filled with pride. Atlas responded with a happy bark, leaning into Keanu's touch. They sat together for a while, the rhythmic crash of waves the only sound between them. The journey of Atlas had begun with a cry for help, but it ended with a celebration of life. His story had touched millions, reminding people everywhere of the power of resilience, the importance of compassion, and the extraordinary things that could be achieved when we work together. As Keanu and Atlas walked back toward the lights of the celebration, their silhouettes fading into the night, one thing was clear: Atlas wasn't just a survivor, he was a symbol of hope, a reminder that every life is worth fighting for. And somewhere, in homes and hearts around the world, people watching his story felt a renewed sense of purpose. Because if Atlas could defy the odds, maybe, just maybe, they could too.